Thank you very much. It is my honor and privilege to be here. But you see, in all of that, he left out what the most important thing. I went to St. Matthew's as a child. In fact, I used to be on the choir, so I get back my space. You know? I used to that house across the road, 31 Hitchin Street. That's where I lived. And why that's a critical address because that's where I passed common entrance from. I used to walk, cross race course, go to Central Branch Primary, and I used to walk, go down to KC. I walk to school, I walk to KC, right? So it was very, very important. When I was here also, the choir master then, he's now with the Institute of Jamaica, and he also taught me at Central Branch. And when I spoke to him yesterday, he said, boy, he plays the organ at another church on a Sunday morning. And he said he really wished that he could have been here because there's a story about me that he keeps telling, which is true, that once I came home and I with a yellow pencil, because the pencil that my mother gave me, a red pencil, I lost the pencil at school. And I was so fortunate to find a pencil. My mother came from work, tired, and she said, every day she checked my book, checked my bag. So where you get this pencil from? I said, I find it, Mama. So did you try to find the owner for the pencil? And my mother beat me. Now we call that abuse now, right? Straight cross race course. And with one thing, I'm not raising no teeth. I'm not raising no teeth. And Mr. Vivian Crawford said he's been telling that story all these years. You have parents now, if a child carry my pencil, what a way you're lucky. See if you can find a book tomorrow. Huh? So folks, I mean, that was my reality. That was my reality. So I really had no choice. When I was asked to share, it was my honor and privilege to be here. The theme that I was given was the dignity of fatherhood. Now, we know technically what father is about, but dignity is the state or quality of being worthy of honor and respect. Worthy of honor and respect. Now, as a psychologist, I've come to understand that as human beings, we have two basic needs. One is for work, and the other is for intimacy. Work, something to do. Intimacy, someone to share your life with. The point that was mentioned before about my position, that is better you do have the job formally, better you go out as a young person, better you go out and work for nothing than stay home now and do nothing. All you're going to get is stay home now and nothing, you're going to put on a whole heap of weight. Okay, so watch TV and eat. But you go out and work for nothing, that's a start. Work is a human need. Now here's how it unfolds. There are three basic stages of life. The first is called child. And since we're talking about manhood today, so you start as a boy, just trying to figure out how the world works. The next stage of development is adolescent. Technically it's adult less sense. You're almost adult but in no sense. Here, what happens now, you go from boy to male. Why we call it male? Because you are now defined by your external genitalia and your internal hormone secretions. That's all. The next stage of development is called man. Boy, male, man. It is not automatic that you get to man. The only way you can get to man is via work. If you're not working, you can't call yourself a man. Anybody feeding you, own you. If you call yourself an adult and you're not feeding yourself, what it means is that you're either a child, a pet, or a domesticated animal. The nice thing, when you speak from a pulpit, you speak in church, nobody can back chat you. So you can speak your mind, you can speak the truth, right? So that it is work that gives you that entry to manhood. So if you're not working, you're not a man. And it is my understanding in Jamaica that there are a lot of males that don't make it past 17. They get older, but they don't get no wiser. We have a problem. Once you master this thing called work, you are now eligible for the next level of adult functioning, intimacy. Me no have nothing, you no have nothing. Nothing times nothing. I hear that, nothing squared. Alright. Me no have nothing, you have something. Anything times zero is what? Exactly. So anybody come to your life and walk with something, check them pocket. You're going to find knife and fork. They might come nyam you out. What if it's not so bad? What if I'm a half a man and she's a half a woman? Half times half. No quarter. That's the biggest mistake we make in maths. Half times half is quarter. That means you're worse after how you was before. No take up no half a man. Do. So you understand the critical nature of this process. It is work that makes you eligible for intimacy. We're not telling the children the truth, We're not telling them. Now, folks, basically what this says that you are not ready to be a parent until you're able to pay rent. That's where the word parent comes from. Someone who can pay rent. So you learned two words already this morning. Adolescence, adult less sense. And who's a parent? Someone who can pay rent. One or two of you have to call your parents when you leave here and apologize. Because you put yourself in a situation that you were parenting before you could parent. Now you know people who like that. Now, this takes us to the scripture of the day. All I've said has been defined in the scriptures. Go to the book of Genesis, and it says in Genesis 2:15 that God made man and placed him in the Garden of Eden to dress and keep it. What that sound like? Agriculture, physical labor, sweat, work. As you go further down that same chapter, you get to verse 19 and it says, Adam given work to name all the animals. That's intellectual work. Name all the animals. So you see the physical work and then the intellectual work. Then go on down to verse 21. Then God provided him with a woman. Note the sequence. Work before work. I know me says so, and the Bible says so. He had to pass through the first stage, physical labor, then the intellectual labor, before God provided him with a woman. So ladies, you have daughters. Just remind them, once man put question to them, just ask him, have you finished naming all the animals? And by the way, gentlemen, puss and cat is one, alright? It's the same animal that. So you don't get 2 points for that, it's 1 point you get for that. What an important structure, folks. How far have we come from that? How far have we violated the order? Work, physical, work, intellectual, before God provided him with a woman. This has been the model of all civilizations. What do we have in Jamaica? There are many who bypass work and bypass intimacy and try to get to parent. Do you know why so many children have no father's name on a birth certificate? You can't put bigger on birth certificate. Him name bigger, him work around now. There are times when she don't even know his name. So there was no intimacy. There was an interesting article this very week in New York Times where they looked at what it is that happened, these absence parents, these fathers who are absent. And when they track the process, you know, it is something that I've been saying for the longest time. Male and female meet, interested in each other, and then, boom, pregnancy occurred. There was nothing about fathering and mothering discussed. There's no discussion about being a life partner. And what happens now, the male, let's call it male, the male never signed up for that role. I'm interested in the woman, you know, but had no interest in anything else. Even though he acted like he was, he never said he was. She believed he was. He probably even said some wonderful things. But because he was never interested in a commitment and a bonding for the future, we now have a situation where there's a child and subsequently he disappears. He disappears. So again, if we went back to basics, folks, back to basics, so we can get this thing right, we have no choice but to. Some years ago, I articulated what I observed as the law of parenting. What does that law say? Once you are privileged to have a child, to get a child into your life by whatever means, it means you have been entrusted by God to be one of the vehicles through which the miracle of creation continues. What about the miracle of creation? Every one of us have two parents. That had two parents. That had two parents, huh? Goes all the way back to creation. It's a miracle. And you have been entrusted to carry on that miracle. What's required of you? And again, we're preaching to the converted, you know. But it's important that message be passed on. Your minimum responsibility is for the food, clothing, shelter, protection, health care, education, and the positive socialization of that child for at least the next 18 years. Pause. Irrespective of breakup, separation, divorce, or death. There's no way out of this. You accept the responsibility. You accept you have now signed up for that. So even if you walk away, even if you die, you are not exempt. Because it means that you should have put something in place. People never raise themselves. We need to tell the children the truth. We need to these are some inconvenient truths that we have not spoken enough. And we allow people off the hook. We allow them to get away. But it gets worse. This is how you earn the dignity of fatherhood. You earn it by being able to literally accept the responsibility, feed, clothe, shelter, protect, educate, positive socialize the child. If you don't do that, you have not earned the dignity of fatherhood. It is said that Jamaican men don't pay for child support, they pay for sex. So when the relationship breaks up, guess what? The money stops. Or the boy will not guarantee the money because I should take it my dead a man pick me. We have a problem, people. Fathering is the most important activity a man can be involved in. The impact on boys is incredible. There's a condition called ODD, Opposition Defiance Disorder. And it's estimated that at least 80% of people who are in prison suffer from this condition. It's the inability to take orders from anybody above you. So if a teacher talks to you, if a security guard talks to you, if a police talks to you, and you know where that stems from? You never had a father who talked to you hard. Huh? So anybody who talks about your disrespect, but you can't talk to them with it. And before you know it, fight start. opposition defiance disorder. The most powerful thing a boy experiences, what he observes between his mother and his father, the ebb and flow, the up and down. You see when them not talk, and you see how quietly kind of working way back in and so on. You see the positive, you see the negative. You see how a man is supposed to be. You see all this iconic picture. You see this little boy put on his father's shoes and I walk around the place, isn't it? I have pictures of my sons when they're young. Put on, my sneakers and my shoes and you see them and try what them a shave. Huh? All the little rituals that they see. What else are they learning? One of the things that we don't talk about is the impact of father on daughters. One of the most powerful things that happens, folks, when a girl grows up in a household with no father present, but what's around her are other adult males to which she is not biologically connected, her body responds. Just imagine a tenement yard with a portion of man around the place, and every time she walk out, yeah man, you look nice, you look nice. Huh? Her body responds. The data shows that female growing up without the presence of that biological male that they're connected to, they mature earlier. They achieve their men's earlier. It's like the body force ripe. The body grows up faster because of all the stimulation, socially and otherwise. So picture this now. I tell my daughters they're queens. I tell them how they're beautiful. There's a song I play many times at workshops, Luther Vandross, Dance with My Father. And when I ask, there's so many women who have never knowingly danced with their father, because they don't know him. Just that ritual of, you put on some music on Sunday morning, them old time music, and the daughter stand up on your foot, and you wars and teach her how to dance and so on. It's a ritual. And then that other ritual at the other end, two of my daughters have been married, so you understand that last dance with the father, and then the husband steps in, and you step away, and you move away. That dance. The most powerful card a mother can draw upon a child is to point at the child's face and say, wait till your father come home. Wait till your father come home. Argument done, Just to say that, you're in trouble. Now you realize how many mothers could not and can't say that. So that mother have to become the terrorist. The mother has to be harder than she wants to be. One of the beautiful things, about having mother and father, is that the both sides of the yin and the yang can work. And when one parent is harsh, the other one can quietly come to you and say, but it's all right, him still love you, and if the other parent come beg for you. But the absence of father has some incredible thing. Do you realize this girl who grew up without the context of that father's love and adoration, the first time she go on a minibus, and the doctor said, boy, you look nice, I see a pretty girl, her skin catch fire. Because nobody has told her that before. Nobody has told her that before. So the fathers who neglect the role. On Mother's Day, an associate of mine who's a journalist, I saw him post what he figured it was something positive. He was big enough for his baby mother. I know she raised the youth nice. It's about time them work on another youth. I said, my brethren, that don't sound right. You're a big man. Teenagers have girlfriend. When I hear a big man talk about him girlfriend, I shake my head. Baby father is the result of contraception failure. Something happened. Big man make commitment and have wife. You're a big man that talk about the baby man. The man at 47. About time them have another. So then he went on to say that, boy, you know, see any woman worthy of being a wife. Oh, I hope your baby mother reading this now and realize what you think of her. She's not worthy of being a wife. We have to call these people out. We have to call them out because the nation depends on it, folks. The nation depends on it. When pregnancy occurs before bonding has taken place, just look how nature set it. Many of you ladies here, when you had your first pregnancy, do you like how you look? Your face turned two color, half dark and half light. Some of you swell up like bullfrog. You can't eat anything, everything you eat, So hold on, if the man never loved you before, him not love you now. There's a reason why nature makes it that way, because that is the notion. Another thing that bothers me, and the truth is that, do you realize that at least 75% of the children in Jamaica, the phrase that herald their presence is very simple. I miss my period, you know. So says her. And then what him say? So where I tell me that for? And then the fight start. They may recover from it, but that's how it starts. Because there was no discussion before that. There was no discussion. So we are working against the basic laws, folks. And that's why we are in this kind of situation we're in. We have to get away from it. We have to do something. We have to work around it. Years ago, I visited St. Lucia, and I saw a phenomenon there that subsequently UNICEF asked me to do a report, a study on it. In St. Lucia, they have something called the Mothers and Fathers Organization. It is the most powerful developmental organization in St. Lucia. Anybody running for office in the area, you have to go talk to the mothers and fathers. Because who are the mothers and fathers? They're also the PTA, you know. They're also the people who are the workers. But it's that. I said, how do you come up with this mothers and fathers organization? Guess what? It started in the church. It started with a Mother's Day celebration. Big Mother's Day celebration every year. And then the fathers counteract and start a big Father's Day celebration. And then the competition started between who can have the biggest celebration. And then somebody said, well, why are we competing? Why not just make one organization and call it the Mothers and Fathers? And we both celebrate Mother's Day, we both celebrate Father's Day. In one community in St. Lucia, Ansley, there was no Mothers and Fathers organization. And I did the research. I went and talked to all the individuals. What happened? They couldn't put their finger on it, but when they saw it, tell me, go back to the beginning. You know what happened? Once they started the Mother's Day celebration, and it got bigger and bigger, a unit from the University of West Indies, WAND, the Women and Development Unit, intervened and said that mothers is a discriminatory word. Because think about it. Mother. Children become the burden who are holding you back while you can't get more education. The man is the one who oppresses you and so on. So they changed the mothers organization and started calling it the women's organization. No fathers group emerged there because women was a total entity to itself. We don't need nobody. We are independent. We are self-reliant. But when you say mother, the next word comes to your mouth is father. And whereas mother and father are complements, sometimes we say woman, man is the obstacle. Man is the one oppressing you. Mother gives rise to father. And when you say mother and father, you talk about parenting. You talk about the most powerful unit that builds civilization. Another observation that I'd like to share with you is that we oftentimes talk about this book by Eden Clark, My Mother Who Fathered Me. Everybody knows the title of the book, But I'm sure 99.9% of the people who have mentioned, who know the title, have never read the book. The largest proportion of father absence community in that book was something like 20%, 22%. It was a catchy title that the publishers came up with. But there was no such thing compared to what we have now. In terms of the communities that we have now and the proportions of situations where there's no father present. Now, we give all respect to the mothers in terms of the incredible job that they've had to do by default, but with all due respect, mothers can't father. Fathering is a special, is a different thing from mothering. I remember my youngest son brought that point home to me carefully. On one occasion, we were somewhere and he was running and he fell down. I just went and just pick him up and brush him off and said, "Jump up, soldier, jump up." He says, "Daddy, I'm glad that you are the one here with me and not mommy. Because mommy would embarrass me." Eh? What mommy would do? Pick him up and kick you okay, baby? He said, "Jump up, soldier, jump up." And we just kept going. Because it's a different kind of energy. And a child needs both. One of the byproduct, unintended consequence of what happens when the mother is trying to do her best to raise these children, especially the boys that turn teenage. As a boy, you have to resist your mother to become a man. Because if you don't resist your mother, you're going to become your mother. Right? But guess what? If your mother is the only person talking sense into your head and you resist her, what happened to you? You're in trouble. So there's so many boys growing up with a mother and they're doing everything to resist their mother. I grew up largely with my mother, but I have a very important, almost unique situation. And I shared it 2 years ago when I spoke literally from a situation like this in a church in Florida at the funeral of my father. And I pointed out that the first thing that concretized my life to understand how things really work was when I was in college and I was filling out a form. And they were doing some tracking studies. They wanted to find out, okay, when you were born, what was your mother's age? What was your father's age? You know, I didn't know them things then. So I called my mother, asked her. I called my father and asked him. And a light went off in my head. When I was born, my mother was 27. When I was born, my father was 19. You see the difference, folks? Just his pictures when he was young, you see this man with a police uniform standing next to him, bicycle. Sharp. You see my mother picture, take out Maurice's, them nice country girl. Hmm? The fact that two people meet, it doesn't mean they're going in the same direction. She was going a different direction from him. Until I was 7, my father was at the house every night. When I was 7, my father migrated. And then he subsequently got married to someone else in the US. Of course, my mother had no good thing to say about him. And that's why I subsequently posted something that says, gentlemen, before you execute your father based on the testimony of your mother, hear his side of the story. Hear his side. My father sent me he left when I was 7. I got a letter from him every month. And in the letter, it had a money order. Remember money order? Yes. A $10 money order. No, $10 is enough money now. And that continued all the way until I was 16, when I left KC and I went to the US to get a job, to go to school, to work and go to school. I said, when I mentioned it in the church, I said, how many of you men made a promise and kept it for 10 years straight? Even though he migrated, Even though my mother was cussing him every day, he wrote me a letter. Now you understand why when somebody writes you a letter, what you have to do? You have to read it and you have to answer. Say, how was school and what are you doing this month? How was classes and how you... So there was a 10-year conversation between myself and my father. 10-year conversation. You have fathers in the same house as them children and don't talk. But having a letter, we're not talking about no Facebook posting or no Instagram. We're talking about letter. So I have to write my letter too and post it. So the fact that he honors his obligation. 10 years without stop, without a break. So that's the lineage I'm coming from, folks. Children live what they learn. Children live what they learn. And learning is taking place even when nobody is specifically telling you this, telling you that. I tried my best to resist my mother. So she encouraged me that when she come from work, I must go and season up the meat. So I'm not season up nothing. But guess what? You see me now? I can do a 4-course meal in 1 hour. Because I see mother to do it. Most women, the way most women cook, everything have to cook, line up first, and then season, and then put down and line up again, and then my mother goes around while the pot of boil, there, peel the banana, and while everything I go on same time. By the time the banana done cook, guess what? The meat ready too. All right? I learned that. My mother told me clearly that, listen, it's one chance I have in life, and the name education. And I believed her. I believed her. Because each time you have one chance, and based on what you do with that one chance, you get another one chance. And that's how it went. So when I walked from here to start to go to KC, I was going to KC with a government scholarship. Based on the one chance my mother told me, I took my work serious. And there were 3 of us who had government scholarship that year at KC. So I tell myself that the least I can come is 3rd. Because everybody else just barely passed. By the way, folks, back in 1963, government scholarship meant you get bus fare, you get books, you get clothes, you get lunch money. If where you live was far from the school you're going to, you get money for boarding. But I was in walking distance at KC, so it wasn't necessary. That's where my commitment to Jamaica comes from, because it's poor people money allow me to get a start in life. But I listened to my mother. You realize how many young men growing up with their mother don't listen to their mother because it's not. You resist your mother. And that's the unfortunate thing, but the balancing factor that my father, even though he was away, I still had to report to him every month. How was school? What did you do? So can you imagine what happens now in terms of the boy who is growing up without that impact? That's why you're seeing how many young men now are part of gangs. The gangs become their father. The gang reward them and tell them what to do. They give allegiance to destructive forces. All because of the vacuum left by fathers. We, the men who accept and live up to the dignity of fatherhood, we need to now expand our responsibility. We need to speak up and guide the males who are driving the decay. I don't call them men because by definition a man does certain things. A man stands up to responsibility. A man accepts the responsibility. There's a wonderful, Eric Erickson talks about the 8 stages of manhood. The 8 stages of how you grow up and the last stage of your life is how you dealt with the things that came to you either by circumstance or by accident. So there are times when things happen to you, and how you handle it is important. So even though, as I said in the law of parenting, even though the circumstances surrounding the onset of that child was not ideal, I'm saying that the man still has to man up. I remember a story a man at university told me. He worked in the carpentry division, he was building a gate for me at my house. And he shared a story with me that, listen, he was married, but as some people will do, he strayed, and he was involved with this other woman who became pregnant. And he felt very bad about it and so on, and the woman had doubts about didn't really want to have the child, didn't really want to keep the child, and he said no, he don't believe in that and so on. And he went home and spoke to his wife about the situation. And the Bible says confession is what leads to forgiveness. You have to confess your sins first. He confessed his sins, and the wife said, all right, bring the child home. All right. He said when he turned up at the hospital while she was have the baby, this woman had been technically divorced, right? This man, her ex-husband, turned up also and claimed that it's his child. So it kind of gets sticky. So my man he's now further distraught because him done confess to him wife already, said, and get in all kind of trouble and make all kind of plans, and now here it is, now somebody is contesting the situation. So as an intelligent man, the man requested a DNA, all right, because he wanted to know for sure. The DNA was done. It wasn't his child, nor was it the husband's child. Ants in the milk. Nor was it the husband's child. Remember, we talk how ladies are perfect and pure and amen, all right? He said he went home, he went to his mother and asked her, when for do? His mother said, you don't accept the child already? Take the child. His mother said, you accept the responsibility, take the child. And the man went on, he said, now, he's telling me the story, because as a young man, because he says now, all of his children are grown and gone. And yet, most of them hardly ever see him. But you see, this particular child, by the way, the child don't know the history, all right? Him can count on every Friday. That child come by and, daddy, all right? And hold him hand so and just squeeze out something in him hand. That is the child that every Friday, if him say I'm not feeling well, daddy will come carry go doctor. That is the child. The one that he just accepted it out of moral responsibility, based on the guidance from his mother. Because that's what happened. When I see some men on the roads, there's a place just by where Juice is in Crossroads, go up to Union Square, on that piece of road there's a bunch of old men live on the sidewalk there. But they also do everything there, the place stink. I wonder, what were they doing when they were young and attractive, and what were they doing? Gentlemen, this is how it works. I posted a picture yesterday where two of my children who are in Jamaica took me to pre-Father's Day dinner Friday night. I couldn't wait, and when I posted, I fed them. Now they are feeding me. You know, when your child can invite you to dinner. It's an incredible feeling. I wonder about some of the men who today hear all the accolades and all the things being said about fathers and so on, and they realize that nobody talking to them. Even them have youth too, Today I wonder about all the women who, growing up, there was no father in their life. And they're still struggling with it. They now have children and there's no father in the children's life. These are things that haunt you. Sometime ago, I was in a workshop, a man came to me afterward and said, Doc, I want to talk to you about something, He said, I have 3 children by 3 different women. And I visit them all the time and so on, but technically I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do around the children. Because him said he never knew his father either. So he has no model to work on. So he give the mother money. The mother buy things for the child. And in one particular situation, the child wanted a bicycle. He gave the mother the money to buy the bicycle. So he asked the child, you got the bicycle? Yeah, for my mother buy my bicycle. No, it's my mother give me a bicycle. Just a shape an associate of mine who had a situation, I can call it, where there's a man that she was living with who fathered a child. Him barely worked more than so. She was the one who doing everything. And he remember her son, when she knew she had to put out the man out of her house, the son came to her and said, Mommy, you can't buy a car for daddy. So daddy car not working and having so much trouble. You can't buy daddy a car. Like how your car working. Now you understand, that boy is growing up with the notion that what? His mommy paid the bills. His mommy buy the car. His mommy do everything. No. Ladies, you also give men the option to be workless, Because many have said to the man, it's all right, we can take care of me, I don't want nothing from you, We know that the court system is backward, but many middle class women allow men off the hook. Yes, you have to keep going back to court and you have to go back, and it's embarrassing. But sometimes we have to do it. The nation depends on this. So, one of the things that men have to do, because men not going to listen to women, men will listen to men. So we, the men who have accepted this responsibility, we have to expand our repertoire. We have to start intervening. I do it all the time. I'm on the road, I'm on public transport. I hear some arms house argument with some young men. Buy out the argument. But buy it out. I'm saying, gentlemen, no go so. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it's a very selfish reason why we're doing this. If we don't, we will all perish. If we don't, we will all perish. So, I close as I started, the dignity of fatherhood. Dignity, something you earn. Dignity, being worthy of honor and respect. So we have to correct it. We have to correct that. We have to get it back. Or else we're in trouble. The world can't grow up with just half of the sky being held up. You need mother and father. Mother and father is the smallest unit of creation. And we have to encourage, we have to strengthen, everything depends on it. Father's Day is as good a time. We acknowledge those who are not living up to it, and we find a way to strengthen and to encourage those who have fallen by the wayside. It is written, which of you, you have 99 sheep and one, you will leave the 99 and go find the one. So you realize if each of us try and find one, if each of us try and find one, if each of us, because we have them in our families, These males are our brothers, some of them are our fathers. And some of them, literally, them feel so bad, it has been so bad, and them don't know how to come back, they don't know how to apologize and so on. They are our sons, they are our friends. Can we save them? The act of trying to save them is also saving ourselves. Thank you very much.